Here we go, this is the third Metal Gear game that I've played and beaten, and while since I'm covering the versions that can be found in the HD Collection and Legacy Collection, I won't be covering the Snake vs. Monkey minigame found in the PS2 version of this game. This is mainly due to the fact that, well, the HD and Legacy collections are, well, multi-platform, and I'm guessing the crossover is with Ape Escape, and that's, well, Sony exclusive. And, well, you can also find Metal Gear 1 and 2 on the HD versions of this game, but I won't be covering those either. And, well, other than that, there really isn't any other exclusive stuff to even talk about at all. But then again, wait till I get to Sons of Liberty, where you can get Solid Snake to actually skateboard. And no, I am not even kidding on that. But most of you Metal Gear fans should, well, already know this already. And, well, I'll also be talking about Snake Eater 3D, the 3DS port for this game later down the road. And, well, just by the way, let's do this. This is my review of Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill, I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart.
After the end of World War II, the world was split into two, East and West. This marked the beginning of the era called the Cold War.
This is the start of the, well, storyline for the Metal Gear series, starting in the 1960s. This is way before the events of the first Metal Gear game on the MSX. And, well, so the Solid Snake that we all know and love is, well, not alive yet. But we do focus on another Snake. Naked Snake is this man's code name. And, well, this is also, well, Big Boss. This is an origin story for Big Boss, well, at least the start of it, because the next three games in the timeline for Metal Gear is Peace Walker and the Metal Gear Solid 5 duology. But then again, that's neither here nor there, because I'm focusing on Snake Eater. The Snake here, well, he's going to be dropped into the Soviet Union. If you don't know what that is, well, it's just Russia before the fall of communism. He's there for a trial run of the Fox Unit, a new covert ops group for the USA. And, well, if the unit succeeds in their mission, they become an official covert ops unit of the USA. And Snake's mission is to retrieve a Soviet scientist named Sokolov. And, well, he originally defected from the Soviet Union, but after negotiations, in order to, well, have the Soviets remove their missiles from Cuba, the US had to give up Sokolov. And, well, under the trial run, Snake is the one that's deployed to retrieve Sokolov, but things doesn't really go that well. They get intercepted by the Ocelot unit, but then again, that's not really a problem because Snake easily knocks them all out. No, the real trouble is, well, when he runs into the boss, and she's defecting to the Soviet Union. I know I didn't mention the boss, but she's basically Snake's mentor. And if I'm remembering this wrong, I think she's responsible for ending World War II in the Metal Gear universe. Not sure though, but either way, she brings with her a nuke called the Davy Crockett, with someone named the Fear kidnapping Sokolov, and, well, putting him on a chopper by means of Hornets. Only in Metal Gear, but anyways, a man named Colonel Volgan joins the party, mainly because the boss is joining his unit. And in an attempt to kill Snake, the boss tosses him into the river. Though he survives, and after using the survival gear, and don't worry, I'll get on that later, an explosion hits him hard. He's not caught up in the full force of it, but the reason for said explosion is, well, Volgan launching the David Crockett on the research facility Sokolov was working at. And, well, Volgan hopes to pin this on the US, and, well, it's a Cold War. You gotta be high not to think that would work. After a brief conversation between the US president at the time and the head of the Soviet Union, they will strike a deal. In order to avoid this Cold War becoming a hot war, the US has to prove their innocence. To do this, the US has to, well, show evidence that they weren't responsible for the David Crockett, and by not only taking out the boss, but also Volgan. After a short time in the ICU, Snake is deployed back into the Soviet Union to commence Operation Snake Eater. And well, he needs to meet up with a Soviet spy, codenamed Adam, who is, well, going to help Snake with taking out the boss in Volgan. Though Adam doesn't show, but instead, it's someone who has a codename Eva. I don't know why Snake trusts her at all or even goes along with her plans. I say this because Snake is given a code phrase to ask Adam to know if that really is Adam. And well, said phrase is, "Who are the Patriots?" with the answer being, "The Lale Lule Lo." And guess what Eva never says? Yeah, the answer to the phrase. This bugs me, but oh well, fuck it. During the mission, Snake has to, well, again, kill the boss and Volgan. But with another run-in with the Ocelot unit, and runs in with members of the Cobra unit. The story for this game is, well, really good, and it's very easy to get into the story, mainly because, again, this is the start of the storyline to the Metal Gear series. My only complaint is, well, again, Eva not giving the answer for the code phrase. If I was Snake, I would still have my gun up asking her the question, "Who are the Patriots?" Other than that, it's a good story. The only character that really gets any development is Naked Snake, mainly because he's the only one in the Metal Gear universe that really shows emotion, and well, he kind of has to take on the boss, which used to be his mentor, and well, they were very close. And well, this doesn't really show that much on how Snake turns, well, into the big boss we all know in Metal Gear 1. But it's pretty cool to see how he got his start. Ocelot gets minor development, but that's only because of his freaking pistol, showing off why he loves to use revolvers instead of something like a Glock. And well, he loves to play Russian roulette, if that's anything. Oh, and if you're going to ask, only won the duel once, and that's in my Let's Play that I did on this channel, and this was the gaming channel. The boss doesn't really have any full-out development, but she reminds me of Zelda in, well, Twilight Princess. It's kind of hard for me to really explain, but the incarnation Twilight Princess and the boss, I don't know, they feel kind of similar for different reasons. Again, it's kind of hard for me to explain. And while everyone else, they're, well, basic, only because you don't really know anything else except for one major part of their characters. With Major Zero being a fan of Bond movies, the fact that hammered in when you save the game for a second time, Paramedic being a fucking nerd, hammered in with every single time you freaking contact her to save the game. Sigan is, well, a weapons expert, with this being hammered in by contacting him with different weapon equipped or box equipped. I'm not even getting on that part. The Pain is a strange person filled with bugs. The Fear is, well, a human bug. The End is, well, an old man that I just give the early killer, set the system time ahead. And the Sorrow is just a Grim Reaper. I just wish we got more development on these characters. The gameplay is still rather the same, but with one difference. There is no Soliton radar. You got a motion detector, a sonar, and, well, an AP sensor, but they're not the same as the Soliton radar. Though not having the radar is not really that big of a deal because, well, this is a jungle. Anything can happen. And it's somehow kind of easy to figure out where the enemies are. Finding out where to go can be hard at times, but then again, it's very easy to, well, figure it out, because all you gotta do is to stop for a second and just think where you haven't been to, or where a secret area could have been. Or, in my case, in the fucking area that you fall into after Ocelot's boss fight, going the wrong way. But anyways, the biggest new feature to this game is, well, camouflage. And, well, this adds a lot of new ways to stay under the radar, and something I thought would have been a no-brainer from the MGS series. But either way, this should go without saying. Match colors and different types of camouflage to match the surrounding area. The higher the camo index is, the harder it is for enemies to actually spot you. Pay attention to your surroundings, because if you don't, you will get surprised by the enemies if you're not careful. Boss fights, they're not good in my opinion. They're really boring, and well, I got a checklist, so let's do this. First up on the silver platter is Ocelot. Ocelot isn't a bad boss fight, but the only complaint I have is the return of his ammo counter. It is completely pointless because it's supposed to help to time when to fire back, but I've never paid attention to the damn thing, and it's just very easy to shoot him. The Pain is just an awkward boss. It all comes down to, well, swimming around. I just find it awkward to get back onto the platform and start shooting him again, but you know, at least it's better than the swimming controls in Devil May Cry 1. For the fear, it's very hard to spot him, and I get that's his gimmick, because he's using stealth camo, but if you don't damage said stealth camo, it's going to take a while, even with his stamina being drained. The end is just boring with all the looking you have to do. It just tends to drag after a while. The Fury, well, I have nothing good to say about this asshole. This boss fight is basically Vulcan Raven 2.0, but it's just horrible. It, well, can be potentially the longest boss fight, because if you don't really get a lot of chances to hit the fucker, especially with all the fire that he shoots around. In the footage that I recorded for this review, the only reason why I took him out very easily is because I was easily able to corner this asshole. Vulcan, well, he's just boring as fuck. Just wait for the opening and shoot the fucker out. Don't have your weapon equipped a lot of the time though, because he can make you waste ammo by the power of lightning. Vulcan using the Shagahod, however, is, well, a little more exciting, because, well, it's just fun. Though actually getting a hit on him can be frustrating because of the fact that he just moves around too much. The boss is actually really easy, even for a final boss. The reason why I'm saying this is because, well, 6 spray is the key to this boss fight, and after I started using this method, she dropped like a fly. Because, well, getting the stamina kill on her is just very easy. And it's a method that I always recommend. Alright, let's get the elephant out of the room. The survival viewer. It sucks. No ifs, ends, or buts. It just sucks. When you have a red bar over a certain amount of the HP meter, that means you're majorly hurt. To heal, you have to go into survival viewer and, well, fix the problem. It could be cutting a bullet out, putting ointment on burns, or, well, resetting an arm. Well, at least this cutscene is actually bearable to look at, because Bigby resetting his arm in The Wolf Among Us just looks painful, and the worst part about it, it's a QTE. I have to look at it. Oh, God. At least here in this game, it's quick and watchable. But the Survive Viewer, it's just a horrible addition to the game. And, well, just general HP healing, it's, well, now super simple because of the stamina meter. And, well, healing is automatic because of it, because it kicks in when your stamina starts to deplete. And recovering stamina is easy because you just gotta eat food, and, well, food is abundant, and all you need to do is hunt down the animal and eat them. If you're critically low in health and no food left, well, just turn the console off. This is a great feature because when the console is off, Snake will be sleeping. And during that time, he will recover health, and you'll be able to live and fight another day. Be careful though, because the food that you got can spoil if you wait too long, and in terms of the end, the fucker can jump scare you. This is the first Metal Gear game to give you the ability to move the camera around, and, well, this is the best way to control the game, because, well, using the old camera scheme just makes the game way too difficult, mainly because camera angles are just awkward, and that goes double for the boss fight with, well, the boss, because, well, it's locked onto the original camera scheme for some fucking reason, unless that's a goddamn glitch, because I kept trying to swap it back to the original, but it never, ever worked. The graphics are just alright. Expect me to say this again when I get to Sons of Liberty, but here, everything's just a little bland, because everything tends to actually blend into each other. The animations, though, are just really great, and I really do love the interface to this game. It's very 60s, if that makes any sense at all. Voice actors are great, though David Hayter does do great as Snake, but part of me kind of wanted a different voice actor. Now, please put the pitchforks down for a second and let me explain. The only reason why I say this, because this is the original Snake, and not Solid Snake, that we all know and love from Metal Gear Solid. Maybe if David changed his voice a little bit or something like that, maybe make the tone sound a little more mature, since apparently smoking cigars are a little more mature than just cigarettes. But, I don't know. Just something. But either way, I just do love the soundtrack to this game. I know, weird jump, but either way, I haven't watched a lot of the James Bond films, but the ones I did love the soundtrack too, and the same goes for this game because of the James Bond feel. And, well, especially apparent with the opening entitled Snake Eater. It's just a fucking awesome song. And, well, the in-game music is just awesome, getting me straight into feel of the jungle to sneak around the enemies and get to the target. Alright, this is the only Metal Gear game that I know to my knowledge got ported to the 3DS. And while it looks alright, the cutscenes look great, actually making the characters sound a part of the background and having the models be a little more detailed. Though big problems with said cutscenes is in this port, it mainly runs down to, well, their frame rate. I say this because it's like they run on 12 frames per second. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is mainly because to have fluid looking animation, the lowest frame rate you can go to is around 24 frames per second. This is what most animated films or just TV shows in general run at. Video games do actually tend to run at 60 frames per second for much more fluid movement, so having it below 24 frames just makes everything look so choppy and animation looks so ugly, even though I really do love the character models in this port of the game. The gameplay works the same way as the original game, though they kept the camera pre-control, but putting them onto the face buttons for some bizarre reason, with all combat options being on the touchscreen. I haven't played this version of the game, though I did hear it was an awkward thing, but someone can adjust to, but it still boggles the mind on why they did that. Maybe if they just, well, dropped the Y-axis control and just made X-axis for the camera, putting it to the triggers, and while having a lot of the combat options be on the face buttons and probably select for first-person view, just press select once and first person. Or hell, maybe wait until the new 3DS got released so they could take advantage of the C-Stick. But then again, it's Konami, they would have fucked it up regardless, because I doubt Kojima had any input on this, and they won't have any input from him ever again, because he left Konami. And good thing too, because Konami would have fucked up every single one of his works. I mean, just look at Metal Gear Survive. But getting back on track, this version gives you crouch walking and the new photo camera feature. And from what I've seen, it breaks the fucking game because you can get the camera index to 100%. It makes you literally invisible to the enemies. Alright, so now taking account of story, characters, gameplay, graphics, and sound. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater gets a 8 out of 10. Story for this game is good, but I still think Snake should have continued to ask you are the Patriots. I don't know, I think it's just me, but again, I just don't get why Snake never just kept on asking that question. The gameplay is fun, though the bosses aren't good because how boring they are. But hey, at least they put up some challenge. That's more than what I can say for Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, I will never drop that. Graphics are great, though they tend to blend into each other, and while the voice acting is great. And well, at this point in time, Metal Gear Solid 3 is available on the Sony PlayStation 2 and 3, the Vita for some bizarre reason, Microsoft Xbox 360, and the Nintendo 3DS. It is a great game that I do recommend getting it on the console versions and not the 3DS version because of how the frame rate is and touchscreen gimmicks. I would bring mention back to the Vita, but then again, I don't know anyone who actually owns a Vita.
Oh, I've got so